And we are back. It is your host, Isaiah. Welcome to the live stream here. And if you're listening on audio, we're glad to be back with episode number 269 of the O&B Puckcast. I'm your host, Isaiah. We're brought to you by FlyersNittyGritty.com, Summit Adjusters, Jim South Street, and of course, we're featured on Hockey Hot Stove, the hottest new hockey forum website. Check it out. Go to the homepage. Scroll down. You'll see our insignia at the very bottom of the page. Click on that. You'll get all of our YouTube shows. And of course, now we're streaming live on YouTube, and we hope you are enjoying that. So let's bring in the panel. Dan, the great Dan Silver, is on assignment this week, but fear not. Chef B, you always have our opening thoughts. So what's on your mind tonight?
Well, this is one of my favorite episodes of the year that we do because everything's a clean slate. And you know what? Anything we say tonight, you know what? He could be right. And I like being right. So, and we love bringing Lyle on. So it's awesome. And I can't wait to introduce our other special co-host too. So without that further delay,
there you go. Joining us from SteelFlyers.com, our buddy Ron Mont. Ron, thanks for coming aboard.
Yeah, man, it's an honor and a privilege to be here with the great O&B Puck. You guys are some of the best podcasters out there for sure. You guys got to go check them out. Get subbed up for them for sure. And of course, an honor and a privilege to sit here with the great Lyle and be part of this great show. So thank you guys very much. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome, and the check will be in the mail. Hey, before we get to Lyle, just want to check, Chef, to underscore. You know, if you look at the Chiron there, you'll see a little information about Summit Adjusters. And Chef, why don't you fill in a couple blanks for the folks before we get rolling?
Yeah, well, if you have damage to your house and don't go up against the big insurance companies by yourself, have a little assistance because, you know, they didn't get to be these big insurance companies by keeping their money. They're giving it away. They do it by keeping their money. So, call Summit Public Adjusters, are licensed in Delaware, PA, and New Jersey, and they can help you get the most money for your claim. So give them a call at 215-752-0560. That's 752-0560.
Right. And you'll notice that we spelled adjusters properly this week. ER instead of OR last week. Yeah. We're technically, we're coming along here. We're going to bring in Lyle Richardson from SpectorsHockey.net. You can also catch his work in The Guardian, Prince Edward Island, The Hockey News, and Bleacher Report. Lyle, welcome aboard.
Great. Thanks for having me back on. And as I said just before we came on, what's become our annual tradition. So
yes, it has. It's one of our most popular shows. It gives you an opportunity to free form. We get some humor in here. So the way we're going to work tonight is we are going to do each team in the NHL alphabetically, save the Philadelphia Flyers, who we're going to discuss last. And I'm going to take the first three teams, then it'll be Ron and then Shep, and we'll just rotate around and we'll get Lyle's impressions because you're the guy that covers the whole league. If you check out SpectorsHockey.net in the morning, you'll get the morning coffee. And then, of course, you get the rumors or whatever is going on. Lyle's on top of it, and he has really good information. And you'll never be, in the dark about what's going on in the NHL if you follow him. So we're going to start off with the Anaheim Ducks. They bring in Chris Kreider, Michael Granlund, Ryan Poehling, Peter Mrazek, and a new coach, Joel Quenneville. And they say goodbye to Trevor Zegras. We'll talk about him later. John Gibson and Isaac Lundestrom. So what's your impressions of what the Ducks did and, the outlook there?
Well, I think it's obvious that the Ducks are looking at making strides toward being a playoff contender this year. They've been rebuilding for several years. Of course, they're primarily focusing on younger players, obviously. So it doesn't hurt to bring in some more seasoned, experienced guys, especially Kreider. Of course, they brought in Jacob Trouba in that trade back in December. So there's leadership and experience there as well. But I think the main thing, it was interesting, and I know you'll talk about it later when we do the Flyers. So in trading away Zegras, he joins, of course, his former Ducks teammate Jamie Drysdale with the Flyers. So that's kind of interesting as well. But as I said, I think the thing to focus on though with the Ducks is going to be their younger players as they develop along. They've got some really terrific talent. I'm looking at Leo Carlson especially. You also look at their second line center, Mason McTavish, still a restricted free agent, still not signed yet. He's been the subject of trade rumors. However, I doubt very much that he's going to be traded. The word out of Anaheim is that they want to keep him. So I would say you look at young guys like that. You look at their goaltender, Lucas Dostal, who got a long-term contract this summer. They're going to be a team to watch very, very closely because I think they're going to make a real push for a playoff spot.
Yep, a good young team. I love that, Carlson. Really do. Let's move on to the Boston Bruins. They bring in Victor Arvidsson, even though I have Victoria written here. I know I won't be happy about that. Tanner Chino, Sean Corrali, Marco Sturm is the new head coach, and they say goodbye to Cole Koepke and Parker Wotherspoon. I think it's a Wotherspoon in the Flyers past, and I don't know if it's the same guy. Probably not. So what's your impressions of where the Bruins are at right now?
Well, it's obvious that the Bruins, they're trying to do a quick bounce back from what was a very disappointing, disastrous season last year. Really kind of put the end to sort of 8 years of being among the dominant teams in the league. Of course, they traded away Brad Marchand, and that put the exclamation point on the end of that. But they still have David Pastrnak. They're going to have a healthy Hampus Lindholm on defense. Of course, Charlie McAvoy is one of the best blue liners in the league. I expect Jeremy Swayman's going to have a big bounce back performance because, of course, he missed training camp last season with that salary contract standoff. And that really adversely affected his performance. But I think you're going to see a significant improvement on his part. They're not really kind of rebuilding yet. This is more of a retool. Of course, they do have some younger players they're bringing in there. And, I look specifically at, somebody like, Laurie is one that, you're going to keep an eye on as well. It'll be interesting to see what they do, how well Casey Middlestat fits in there, too, because they acquired him back at the trade deadline. So again, it's not really a rebuild, it's a retool as they're going to try and push to at least get themselves back into playoff contention.
Yeah, Chef, you had a comment.
Yeah, well, the Tyler Worthingspoon was who the Flyers have, and that's his older brother. So if you were wondering, yes, there was a connection. It's his Tyler Wortherspoon is Parker's older brother.
Okay. I mean, that was a showstopper. I appreciate that. The Wotherspoons, if we don't keep them under control, I don't know what's going to happen. But we're going to move on to the Buffalo Sabres. We're just looking for opportunities to have a good time here. That is interesting. This is a team that's always circling the drain by the end of the year. The Buffalo Sabres, seemingly in perpetuity. They bring in Michael Kesselring, Josh Doan, both of them from Utah, Alex Lyon to back up in goal, Connor Timmins. And they say goodbye in that trade for the first two aforementioned players, JJ Peterka, Sam Lafferty, Connor Clifton, and Jacob Bernard Docker. Where are the Buffalo Sabres right now, Lyle?
They're in the same place they've been for the last 14 years. They've been in limbo. This is a team that they have the talent. You look at the guys that they've got there. Tage Thompson up front. You've got guys like they traded for Norris from the Senators and Alex Tuck, and of course you've got Rasmus Dahlin in there as well. They've got the players there that could make it happen, that you could actually push and make the playoffs. It just, for whatever reason, they just can't seem to get it together. And of course, a lot of that has to do with the revolving door of coaches and general managers that they've had over the last decade. It's really sad. I feel really, really badly for Sabres fans. They're some of the best hockey fans in the league, and they have not been well served by what they've been getting from their Sabres over the last 14 years. They have the potential to do it. I'd like to say every year I keep thinking this is going to be the year to do it. So I'm going to kind of go against tradition here and go, no, not going to do it again this year. I did like the addition of Kesselring, though. I think having him playing alongside Owen Power could help that young blue liner really kind of help develop his game a little more. Young Doan, of course, he's the son of Shane Doan, and he has some potential as well as a middle six forward. but you know, trading away Perdurka, that's going to hurt their offense a bit as well. So they're going to need other people to step up in there. You got to look at a guy like Jack Quinn. Maybe this is the season that he starts coming through. But otherwise, I do not have great expectations for this team.
I hear you. I hear you. So, Ron, you were up with the Calgary Flames.
All right. Well, I got to say, I was with their fourth place in the Pacific last year. Is Wolf going to have that sophomore season issue? Hungry to make the playoffs after missing it out last year due to a tiebreaker. Mackenzie Weegar, Blake Coleman and company, can they get this team over the hump? What do you think about the Flames?
I think the Flames are going to be a team to watch in the Western Conference. This is another one. They look like a couple of years ago, they looked like they were rebuilding. But last season, I think, kind of changed the equation of it. But I really don't think it changed General Manager Craig Conroy's game plan here. I think retooling was sort of what he was doing because he knew what he already had. You know, veterans, guys that, you know, could help these younger players who are on long-term contracts and at the same time are playing well. Guys like you mentioned, Weegar, Nazem Kadri, you can't ignore him. So with the young kids like Dustin Wolf there in goal, you look at, you got Connor Zary there as well. It's going to be interesting to see if Sharon Govich can have a bounce-back performance. They got Matt Coronado there as well. Is that they came very close. They were battling. They were in it all the way down the stretch. So yeah. I would not rule them out, especially if another team, like let's say one of those lower teams in the Western Conference, if they struggle, Calgary could be poised to take advantage.
Okay, awesome. I guess next up will be the Carolina Hurricanes, and with finishing second in the Metro, being one of the better teams last year, this is a well-coached team with Rod Brindamore. They added in Keandre Miller and Nikolai Ehlers to help them get over the hump. But what is it about this Carolina team that like they are so good and then they get to the playoffs and then
and then the problem is in 2 of the last 3 years they ran into the Florida Panthers in the conference final. They just didn't have the jam to be able to match up well with that team. Listen, I like the addition of Ehlers, bringing a little bit of added offense. Logan Stankoven that they got in the Rantanen trade, I think he's going to be a terrific little addition for it. He had a good playoff last year. Seth Jarvis is coming on as well as a two-way player. For me, I don't mind the addition of Miller. They kind of shook up their D a little more, got a little younger. For me, though, the question starts and ends with goaltending. And you can say, well, the goaltending hasn't been bad, but you've got Freddie Anderson, who's always hurt. Kochetkov kind of blows hot and cold. So, I think that their D and their forward lines are better than last year, but I really wonder if they've got the goaltending to get them through.
Okay. I mean, I kind of always have high hopes for them every year, but I'm kind of with you on this year. They might take another step back if they can't fix the goaltending issue. On to the Blackhawks, and I think they've done an amazing job in a very short amount of time with their Frank Nazar, Nick Foligno, et al. Adding a huge amount of people into the mix here to play along with Connor Bedard. Will that take the heat off of him? I mean, is he going to have a better year this year with some of the additions that they've added here and, maybe some of the younger talent that they've drafted over the last couple of seasons crack the lineup?
I think you're going to see improvement. I think Bedard was, caught a bit by surprise last year. The opponents really focused on him last year. I think he's going to be better prepared this season. But I also think he's going to be helped by having somebody like Nazar come in there. I mean, he had a terrific, he just kept getting better and better as the season went on. And he was terrific for Team USA in the World Championships, by the way.
Yeah.
So, the future's kind of looking bright there. It's not all going to be on Bedard this time. They brought in a little more veteran help there, too. I mean, they brought in Andrei Burakovsky as well up front, veteran guy. He's had his injury issues. But again, it's additional depth to kind of help as they transition more towards the younger players. And that's what I'm going to be looking at for them. Is I'm looking forward to seeing guys like on their blue line, like Lev Shunov and Rinzel and Kurchinski. I'm expecting a lot more from them. So I think you're going to see their younger guys are going to improve. They're still not going to be a playoff team, but they're definitely not going to have a god awful year. I don't think this time. No, not this time.
They can only go up at this point.
Yes, very much so.
They can only go up.
Yeah, a lot of talent in the wings, though. I'll tell you that, a lot of talent. So, Chef, you were up with the Colorado Avalanche.
Okay, Avalanche. I mean, their only real addition is Brett Burns, and they managed to shave off Drouin, Coyle, Wood, and Lindgren. Now, my question would be: Is Brett Burns? I know they needed somebody steady on D. Is it enough? Because I mean, he's still got gas left in the tank. Let's just say, and he's probably better than a lot of other guys in the league. But is it still enough for to get the Avalanche over the top again? They need to get back to the Cup because their window is running out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, I mean, we all know Brent Burns is not the same Wookiee that he was 5-6 years ago. But he's still a very you guys, I'm glad you caught that. Thank you. I wanted to see, not the same Wookiee. No. But Ron really liked that one.
I did.
No, but I mean, listen, you can't blithely though dismiss a team that's got guys like Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar, who are very much in their prime. Their goaltending's better with Mackenzie Blackwood. What a story he's been too. I mean, you talk about a guy who resurrected his career. They got Marty Necas in there. He seems to have really good chemistry with McKinnon. Gabe Landeskog is going to be back, and they're excited about that. I don't think he'll be quite the player that he once was, but just having him back in the lineup and contributing is going to help them as well. All the depth additions is the thing that I'm kind of interested in. They did bring in Victor Olofsson. He was a recent signing. This is a guy who had a couple of 20-goal seasons in Buffalo, so maybe that might help out. But and if they can get a healthy season out of Nichushkin as well, you got to figure they'll be in the mix. But I do agree with you, though. The clock is ticking because they really depleted their prospect pipeline to try and keep that cup window open.
Yeah, agreed. So now we go to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Now, I think last year when we did this, I think I had, the Canucks. And I had said to you, one word comes to mind, vanilla. Like it was like even in out. Nothing really happened. How do you look at it? It's just vanilla. It's just plain flavor. I mean, they brought in Charlie Coyle, Miles Wood, Isaac Lundestrom, and they out as JVR, Corrali, Danforth, Harris, and Tarasov. It doesn't move the needle either way. It looks like they just maintained. They didn't do anything of consequence.
But I think maintaining no Chef here in this instance was the right thing, because you look at the season they had last year, where they came into it having to deal with the tragic death of Johnny Gaudreau. That would have devastated most teams, and nobody would have faulted them if they had just mailed it in last year. And they also, along the way, they had several guys that suffered serious injuries, several key guys. Like Sean Monahan had the wrist injury, first line center. I believe it was Marchenko. They lost him almost for a month with a busted jaw. That's just a couple of names I think of off the bat. And yet, they came within 2 points of making the playoffs. In fact, they were holding a playoff berth late in the season before I think everything just finally caught up with them. But this is a very promising team. Apart from the obvious fact that Zach Werenski took the much long-awaited step and became, an elite defenseman that everybody expected. Not saying he wasn't elite before. He was really, really good before. But last season, he was absolutely elite. But you look at the guys like Marchenko. You look at guys like Voronkov. You look at Sean, you look at Fantilli. I mean, the season he had stepping in for Monahan in the second half and as a first-line center, and he was very comfortable in that role. So I'm actually saying don't sleep on the Blue Jackets. The only thing that's going to hurt them this year is their goaltending remains a huge, huge question mark. But if they can get that sorted out, maybe Jack Greaves is the answer. They're promising goalie. If they get that sorted out, look out. They're going to make some noise in the Eastern Conference.
Okay. That brings us to the Dallas Stars, who I had picked to win the Cup last year and, fell short yet again.
Me too. Me too.
It sucks, but, in his, and I'm going to butcher some names here.
Well, you're a chef. You're halfway there.
Yeah, I know. Vladislav Kovalyanokov, and then out is Gransland, Dadonov, Marchment, Cece, and Dumba. I mean, I don't know how much they changed. I'm looking at it, and I think they it's not the worst thing in the world. And they still are. They're one of the teams to beat in the West. Still, I think they didn't have to do a lot, but I think they have a couple of younger players that have to just, okay, this is your shot, take it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at them top to bottom. This is still a very well put together team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and guys like Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin are older, and they're getting past their prime. But you've got Mikko Rantanen, you've got Rupe Heinz, you've got Jason Robertson in there. You've got Wyatt Johnston, and you talk about young guys. Well, there's Maverick Bourque, who showed promise, and on defense, Leon Bischel. And, of course, they've got, Amiro Heiskanen anchoring their D, and, of course, Ottinger in goal. So they really didn't need to do too much. They do have a new head coach in Gulletson, and I think that he's going to maybe kind of change the way that they've done things. They're still among my Cup contenders for this year. I know, like 3 straight conference finals and kind of beating their head against the wall, but it would not surprise me if they broke through this year under new coaching and with a couple of those younger guys and having a full season of Mikko Rantanen as well.
And also, look at Florida. Florida was knocking at the door for 3 years, in fact, getting there, and then all of a sudden they won 2 in a row. So you can't give up yet.
Nope.
No, they like Chef said, they have a couple players like Wyatt Johnston and who's the other kid? The winger.
Robinson?
Yeah, Robertson.
Yeah.
That are just going to step up and play a bigger role, even as guys like Ben and Sagan kind of decline a little bit. So that should be interesting to watch them. So, Lyle, now we have to talk about the Everlong Iser plan in Detroit. So they bring in John Gibson, JVR, Mason Appleton, Jacob Bernard Docker, and they let go of Vladimir Tarasenko, Tyler Mott, Jeff Petrie, Alex Lyon, and Peter Mrazek. They were about they were like 5-6 points out of a playoff spot last year. What's the prognosis for you this year?
They're on the bubble. The last 2 years, you look at it, they went in the final month of each, the last 2 seasons, holding a playoff berth, and then just crap the bed down the stretch both times. They absolutely choked. And I'm not seeing very much change there. They really didn't address. Okay, you brought in John Gibson. Well, okay, fine, I guess. Your goaltending is pretty decent. But they didn't address their need to improve their D, especially to me, a little more physicality on the left side of that D. I do like the fact, obviously, and that's a shame because they got 2 really good young defensemen in Moritz Seider and Simon Edvinsson. But there's not enough grit there on that D, not enough shutdown guys there. And their scoring did not improve. They need to bolster that top 6 scoring. I mean, okay, great. You brought back Patrick Kane again, but I mean, sorry, JVR is not going to help you. I'm sorry, it's past his time, to be able to help you. They need a good top 6 scorer in there, and they don't have it. So, again, I'm not seeing any. I will say this: they missed the playoffs this year. Yzerman's in trouble. I think Yzerman will be in trouble. Anybody else, and I'm going to say it. Anybody else who's general manager would have been fired by now. They would have been fired. Yzerman is in there for as long as he's been in there because he was a legend as a player. Okay. And he also was the architect of the Tampa Bay Lightning's Stanley Cup runs.
Yeah.
But it ain't happening in Detroit. It's not happening with the Red Wings right now. And this is a make or break season, I think, for for Yzerman. If they miss the playoffs this time, that'll be 10 straight years. It's a franchise where they're already in a franchise worst. But if they miss it again, yeah, there's going to be changes at the top.
The wing wheels are coming off. We'll see if they can keep them on this year. Yeah, the Edmonton Oilers. Well, they go to Stanley Cup Finals a lot. They bring in Andrew Mangiapane. That was a little bit of a later signing. They signed Isaac Howard, the prospect. I think it was from Tampa. Yep. Curtis Lazar, and they let go of Evander Kane, Victor Arvidsson, not Victoria, and Connor Brown, Corey Perry, and John Klingberg also were shown the door. So there's obviously a problem there with the salary space with all the big players they have. But do you like what they did with Mangiapane and Howard, bring in a prospect and a guy like Mangiapane who's a good all-around player?
Well, let me just say first, Isaiah, I really like your Victor Victoria drop. Anyway, it's an old movie. Look it up, kids. Anyway, yeah, we're just a bunch of old boomers here and talking about old movies. But well, I mean, listen, I like the addition of Isaac Howard. I really do. Come on, this kid won the Hobey Baker Award. Now, I know you can say, yeah, there have been plenty of Hobey Baker Award winners that didn't amount to anything in the NHL, but there's also been some who have. Okay, and I like what Isaac Howard could potentially bring to them. They've also got Matt Savoie, who's going to be should be making his debut. So they could be in pretty good shape. I know, yes, you let go of some of the grit and things like that. I don't think losing Evander Kane is going to be hurt them as much as some people seem to think. And I like the addition of Mangiapane. My concern is with their goaltending, just because it blows hot and cold. You know, I mean, Stuart Skinner, when he's on top of his game, he can be unbeatable, and when he's not, he's absolutely terrible. You know, there's no middle ground with him, unfortunately. Calvin Pickard, you know, a good backup, but you know, he's only got a certain shelf life as well. And I also have a bit of concern about that D. Again, Evan Bouchard, I don't think he gets enough respect as a puck-moving defenseman, and people tend to crap on him a lot if he makes a mistake. Well, it's a problem, but you know, a puck-moving defenseman like him, every team wants to have a guy like him. Jake Wallman, very underrated, and if Matthias Ekholm can stay healthy this season, because that really hurt them in the playoffs, having him injured. I think I would not rule out another trip to the Cup final. Whether they could have the horses to win it this time, I don't know. I would not rule it out. When you got two of the top forwards in the NHL, in McDavid and Draisaitl on your team, you have a chance every time. And these guys are still at their peak and they're still hungry. So I wouldn't rule them out. They're among my Cup favorites, but we'll have to see with them.
Mm-hmm. Well, the two-time Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers just signed Luke Kunin. They brought in Jeff Petrie, Daniil Tarasov. They had to let go of Nate Schmidt, Vitek Vanacek, and of course they'll probably have to do with Matt Tkachuk probably for at least half a season with the injury that he has. What are the prospects this year for them? Are they going to be a three-peat, or are they just going to run out of gas finally with the Olympics and all the other things that a lot of their players will be wrapped up in?
Well, listen, I'm not going to besmirch a team that made 3 straight trips to the Stanley Cup final and won the Cup, in each of the last 2 years. Again, I put them among my favorites to win, but this isn't going to be a slam dunk. In fact, if they manage to win it this year, this could be the hardest one for them to win, because they've had very, very short, off seasons. And you're already starting to see the toll it is starting to take. I mean, Matt Tkachuk's, he's going to miss half the season. Now, yes, he'll be back in time for the playoffs and all of that good stuff. But nevertheless, having a guy like him out of the roster and getting banged up, that's a problem. They re-signed Sam Bennett, which was no surprise. They surprised people by re-signing Marchand and Aaron Ekblad. But my concern is for both of them is the mileage on both. I mean, Marchand is 37. He'll be 38 this year. Eventually, age catches up to you. As terrific as he looked for them in the playoffs, can he replicate that over the course of a long season at the age of 38? And Aaron Ekblad, I no disrespect to him because he's been the the linchpin of their defense for years. But he looked like he was slowing a bit to being last season. And I think that's it. He wasn't as noticeable as he was in the previous 2 playoff runs. Now, again, he could have been nursing injuries then too that, he wasn't revealing. But, it's so hard to be able to do what they've done. Just going to 3 straight finals. I mean, that's impressive. But I really think that this time it's going to be really, really tough for them to become the first team since the 1982 Islanders to win 3 straight Stanley Cups.
Yeah, I could definitely see the challenges ahead. And Ron, before we go to you, I just want to remind the folks that we are brought to you by Jim South Street, 400 South Street in Philadelphia. 40 years of the best cheesesteaks, hoagies, and fries that you'd ever want. You got to check it out. Jim South Street, 400 South Street in Philadelphia, PA. DoorDash, Uber Eats, whatever it takes to get that delicious food to your door. Jim South Street. And Ron, you are going to continue with the LA Kings.
All right. First of all, I got to say, hop on over to O&B Puck and get subbed up for them guys, man. You got to be following the O&B Puckcast with all these great live shows and all the great content that they're putting out here for you. You got to get signed up for them. Please hit the like and subscribe. Los Angeles Kings finished second in the Pacific last year with 105 points. They had a great regular season. They kind of hit that playoff wall there a little bit. They reset with Alex Lafreniere, Cody Ceci, and Anton Forsberg. What do you think here with the Kings, Lyle?
I think that they figure that the key to defeating the Edmonton Oilers in the first round is to hire their former general manager.
Yeah.
That's a good try.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, why not? But listen, this is still a good team. I mean, look, I know that Anze Kopitar and Drew Doughty, they're getting long in the tooth. But they're more than those guys now. I mean, Quentin Byfield at center, that kid's a beast, man. I am so looking forward to seeing what he can do as his career progresses. He's just fantastic. Adrian Kempe, dangerous sniper out there for them, of course. Their D, I like the fact that, I think Brant Clark's going to have a good year. I'm not so sure Cody Ceci and Brian Dumoulin are the answer for losing Gavrikov and trading away Jordan Spence, but we'll see. But they also do have what I also like, though, was the fact that their goaltending, Darcy Kemper, boy, you talk about a bounce back performance. After the last couple of years were so shaky, people were writing him off as a starter, and he proved his critics wrong. So they're still a playoff team, and who knows, maybe if they don't face the Oilers this time, they'll get past the first round. I don't think they got the horses to go deep, but they're definitely still a playoff team, and they got younger guys in there as well. So, I think they're a playoff club, not a cup contender, but it'll be interesting to see what happens if they face the Oilers in the first round again.
Because, that's what happens when you run into the eventual team that goes to the finals, right?
Exactly.
So how about the fourth place in the Central with 97 points last year, the Minnesota Wild? They re-signed Marco Rossi. What are we going to see here with Gustafsson? They made the playoffs last season, but then they got bounced in the first round. It doesn't seem like Minnesota really did that much, really. What do you think about them?
Well, I don't think they needed to do a heck of a whole lot. They just need to be healthy. I mean, they got off to a hot start last season. First half of the season, they were terrific, but then they lost Kaprizov, and then Eriksson Ek got sidelined, and then Jared Spurgeon got hurt, and it was just one after the other after the other. And, Kaprizov came back and had a hell of a playoff for them. Matt Boldy is just fantastic as well. I'm expecting another big season from him. Brock Faber on the D. I mean, if this guy isn't in the Norris conversation in the near future, then something's very wrong. And re-signing Rossi, I wasn't surprised that they did that. He may have figured he was worth a little more than what he got. He's been kind of up and down a bit in the roster, but he gets it figured out. He's going to be really good. And he had a pretty good season last year. So they're a playoff club. If they can be healthy, maybe they might be able to make a run for the final. But they're definitely a playoff team. I think they can probably win a round or two with what they've got.
Okay. There you go. You got them. You're a little bit higher on them than I am, I think, for this season, for the Wild. But okay, Montreal Canadiens are up next, and fifth in the Atlantic last year. They had a real defense-heavy draft with Bryce Pickford, a Prospect Watch alum, Carlos Hando, another Prospect Watch alum. St. Louis had been a great addition as the head coach there. Can Noah Dobson be that difference maker for the Habs?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The Montreal Canadiens, had they not made any significant additions this summer, I would have said, well, they might, that they could probably maybe qualify for a wild card, and then, just because they were still rebuilding. But the addition of Dobson and of Zach Bolduc from the Blues, who had a very solid rookie season last year, feisty middle 6'4", nearly had 20 goals last season, and he's a local boy too. But those two really, really, really going to help this team. And I'll tell you, they're going to have a full season of Ivan Demidov, that hotshot rookie kid. They've got Lane Hudson, who won the Calder last year,
Obviously,
and silenced critics who didn't think he could handle the heavy going in the playoffs. Absolutely. And come on, he led the team in points in the postseason. And they've got solid goaltending, especially underrated Sam Montembeault. Of course, they've got Nick Suzuki, who's proved himself as one of the best two-way centers in the game. Cole Caulfield, their sniper. Slavkovsky, who is starting to come through as a power forward. But I would say the additions of Dobson and Bolduc, they're definitely going to push this team. This team's going to make the playoffs. They're going to be a team to watch over the next 5 years. The way they're bringing up those young talents developing. As a team, that whole team is developing well together. And I'm not saying that as a Canadiens fan. I'm absolutely being objective here. They're a team. They're going to be a team to watch over the next 5 years. I'll be very surprised if they don't make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I like the way they're headed. I like what they've done in the draft as well, the last couple of drafts as well too. So,
yeah, Chef.
All right, we got Nashville Predators now. Last year, I said, I know, and I'll live up to it. I tell people I eat my own words sometimes, well, a lot of times. Anyway, but Nashville Predators last year, I thought they were going to be at least entertaining to watch. That didn't happen. They just kind of fell apart. Nothing seemed to be going right. So after, I guess having a big offseason last year, they kind of like toned it down this year. They brought in Eric Hula, Nicholas Haig, and Nick Perbix, whatever. And they got rid of Susans and Lauzon. So, I mean, they kind of kept it. I guess they're thinking, I don't know what they're thinking actually now, but I mean, the thinking, I guess, if I had to guess, I would say less is more. And like, there's not a big reason to do anything different because there wasn't really anything available for them to do. I'm guessing.
Well, I think the Predators were a cautionary tale, a reminder to us once again that just because you win the offseason, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win in the regular season. That being said, I mean, I do anticipate a bounce back of sorts from them, but I would put them on the bubble in terms of playoff team. I mean, it's center. Their first line center is Ryan O'Reilly, but he's getting long in the tooth. Svechkov is the promising young player coming in there. They've got him kind of penciling in as their second line guy. Of course, they still have Stamkos and Marcia Show there up front. And I think they're going to be motivated to kind of turn things around because it was a big adjustment for those two guys coming from teams where they had done well for a very long time. A healthy Roman Josi will help on their blue line again, of course. I think Brady Shea will be a little bit more settled in there too. And with their goaltending, I mean, it is what it is. You invested that amount of money, in a starter. You hope that he's going to bounce back. But again, there's a lot of question marks there. I mean, if some of those names that I rattled off, if those guys are 3 or 4 years younger, I would say, oh yeah, they're absolutely going to make the playoffs. This year, I am not so sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that brings us to the Jersey Devils. Now with them, like they didn't do much either. There seems to be a pattern here. A lot of teams didn't do a lot this year. They brought in Brown and Dodonov. They let go of Hula, Lazar, and Dumoulin. Dumoulin?
Yeah.
Dumoulin?
Dumoulin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
Eric Holla, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Eric Cole.
Holla
Yeah.
if you hear me. Yeah.
Holla.
Yeah,
Hey.
that's it.
So it doesn't matter. He's past his prime anyway. So sorry, Eric. Don't find me.
Are you saying he's finished?
Yeah. So what I'm saying is this, though. I mean, I thought New Jersey was going to be better than they were last year.
Yeah.
I kind of expected them to be knocking on the door for a playoff spot, and I still think they should. I mean, they have some decent talent. It just it doesn't seem to be. Is it a system thing in Jersey, or is it organization, or what's happening?
Yeah, you have to wonder if that's what it is, because I mean, to your point, Chef. Yeah, I mean, you look at the roster, and there's some really good guys there. I mean, you know, with you got the Hughes brothers there with Jack up front on center and Luke Hughes on the D. You know, they brought in Brett Pesce on the blue line last summer. Dougie Hamilton's still there, of course. Jacob Markstrom in goal and Jake Allen. So you've got a decent goalie tandem there. In fact, Markstrom had a hell of a season for them last year, but so did Allen when Markstrom was sidelined. You know, you still got, you know, Jesper Bratt, Nico Heishire up front as well, Timo Meyer. There's some decent talent on that team. So you have to wonder if part of it's not organizational, but I also think the big thing too is Jack Hughes' health. I mean, when he's healthy and on top of his game, I mean, hey, it not for nothing, the best season that he had was also the best season that the Devils had. And I'm thinking back a couple of years ago. You know, when he had was it 99 points or something like that, and just had an outstanding performance. But that's because, I mean, he only missed a handful of games. The last couple of years, he's been sidelined by injuries. If he can have a healthy season, they should be in really good shape. They're going to be an interesting team to watch. They're a playoff team, unless, you know, they get walloped hard by injuries. They're definitely a playoff team. But yeah, to your point, I think a lot of us expected from their performance 2 years ago that they'd be a cup contender by now. And so far, I don't put them in the cup contention category.
Okay. All right. I wouldn't put them in the cup, but I thought they would at least make the playoffs. So now we go to the Islanders, who won the lottery and won the first pick. Yeah. So for them, they only really cut Noah Dobson, but they brought in Druin, Shabanov, Heineman, and Richt. So these, I know, fans. I'm sorry out there. I butcher these names. I'm a little dyslexic, so bear with me. So, but with the Islanders, you know, they're another team that I kind of sort of expect be a little bit better. I don't know why. It could be just I don't know, a legacy thing, and you know, and then they win that. It is. I don't even know if he's going to play with them this year. Everybody talked about winning, that he's the only one in the draft that could actually play in the NHL right away. So it would be stupid for them to rush him if they did. But so my question is, I mean, are they a poser team, or are they actually getting better?
Well, I think right off the bat, they're going to be getting better because they've got new management now, and Matthew Darche, who helped the Tampa Bay Lightning build themselves into a Stanley Cup champion. You know, all due respect to Lou Lamoriello, but the time would come for change, big time. You know, as far as Schaefer, yeah, he, as you said, I mean, he has the ability. He can play in the NHL. I'm with you, though. I would not rush this kid too quickly, and don't go pinning your. I mean, if he's capable of playing and playing well, absolutely put him in there. But don't rush him if he needs a little bit more time. I think for them, the key is going to be can you know, Matt Barzal be healthy and productive? Can they lighten Sorokin's workload as well in goal? You know, you don't want to, because with Semyon Varlamov battling injury, they've wound up really overworking this guy, and that hasn't helped matters any. This is a team kind of in transition. They're not rebuilding. I think they're trying to do a retool here and try to get themselves back. Because let's face it, I mean, they've made the playoffs in each of the last 5-6 years. So I believe, yes, may have missed it once, but it doesn't matter. Regardless, they've been fairly regular as a playoff team. So I think they're trying to avoid that. The other issue for me, though, is head coach Patrick Waugh, because he's not a Matthew Darche hire. Okay, Matthew Darche has inherited this guy, and that's going to be crucial as well. How well those two guys are going to work together. And whatever Waugh is trying to do, how well that's going to translate to his players. So they're going to be an interesting team to watch.
Now, I see this, if they get off to a very poor start, Rock could be out early. Yeah, I think so. I think there's a short leash there because it's not his guy.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, the Islanders seem like a team in transition with the management and everything. And I think the excitement is really about what's to come, not necessarily what's going on right in the present moment. But in the present moment, the New York Rangers are expecting to do something. And they say goodbye to Chris Kreider and K-Andre Miller. They bring in Vladislav Gavrikov, I think from L.A., and Taylor Radish, Scott Morrow, and probably the biggest add, Coach Mike Sullivan, winner of multiple Stanley Cups. Has their window to win the Cup passed already?
Well, if it hasn't passed, it's getting awfully close. Last season just seemed like that management was trying whatever it could to try and shake things up and get this team back on track. There's a lot of movement going on, and that carried over into the offseason. We didn't really see a huge addition other than, behind the bench. Now, that could also help as well. It'll be interesting to see what Sullivan has in store for these guys. But, listen, they still do have some really terrific players there. I mean, with Panarin as well. Though this is his final season as a contract year for him, but he's going to be out to kind of prove, that, listen, he's still an elite guy. You've got Shesterkin's still one of the best goaltenders in the league as well. He can backstop them into the playoffs on his own if need be. The guy I'm really watching, though, is going to be Lafreniere, because everybody's been waiting for him for that breakout season to come, and we thought we were going to see it this season, and it didn't happen. So, and he signed that expensive long-term contract a year ago. So he's going to be a guy to watch, and he's going to be under considerable pressure. If he steps up and has a terrific season, as I said, they've got the guy. Will Cooley's another kid there too. I mean, he's just a lot of fun to watch, very energetic. They got Adam Fox on D, a former Norris winner. So I mean, they've got the core players there that they can be a playoff team again. Whether they're going to be a cup contender, I'm not really ready to make that call. It'll be interesting to see how they play under Sullivan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When Ottawa, they finally break out of the Buffalo-Detroit morass, make the playoffs. They bring in Jordan Spence, Lars Eller. Out goes Adam Gaudette, Travis Hamonic, and Anton Forsberg. There's a lot of talent there, a lot of young talent. I don't know if the goaltending's going to be good enough, but they're an exciting team to watch.
Absolutely. And I mean, Linus Ullmark definitely helped them get across the finish line last year. He was really solid for them throughout last season in goal. But just the young players as a whole, I mean, with Stützle and, of course, Brady Tkachuk, their heart and soul guy. Mm-hmm. Jake Sanderson on defense, who's just, I mean, that's another kid that, going to be like Brock Faber. He's going to be in the Norris equation here pretty darn soon. Just a terrific player to watch. Hey, they also brought in Dylan Cousins, and that was a terrific move for them, getting him from Buffalo, because he just seemed rejuvenated when he came to Ottawa. He's a terrific two-way forward for them as well. So, this is a team on the rise. I can see them having more success than they did this past year. As you said, they got out of that morass that they'd been in for a long time. I think they're for real as a legit playoff contender again this year. They're not going to be in a cup contention phase yet. They still got a ways to go, but I like the way they're trending. So I definitely see them as a playoff team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So one team that finally has embraced the rebuild, long overdue, is the Pittsburgh Penguins. They bring in Anthony Mantha, Justin Brazeau, Matt Dumba, Parker Wotherspoon, Connor Clifton, and Arturs Shilov. Out goes Matt Grzelcyk, Connor Timmins, and Alex Nedeljkovic. And, of course, I have a new coach, and Dan Hughes. They are in full rebuild mode, it would seem, even with Sidney Crosby still in tow.
Yeah, they're rebuilding, but they're not saying the R word. That's a dirty word. They're not saying the R word is in rebuild. It's if they're going to say an R word, it's retool as far as they're concerned. It sounds funny if you say they're rebuilding and then you mention all these veterans that they're dragging and a lot of these guys who are past their prime, but they are also bringing in a lot of younger players too. They've got they've got guys that they're going to be bringing, look at Ricker McGroarty is one that they're going to be watching as well. So I mean, this is a team that they traded away a lot of guys, but brought in a lot of prospects and also young NHL ready players or players who are poised to be that way. So they are rebuilding, to your point. Absolutely. They do have a new coach. The thing for me is going to be interesting to see is how things go for veterans like Crosby, like Evgeny Malkin. I think everybody agrees that this is Malkin's. I think this is his last hurrah.
Yeah.
Not just in Pittsburgh. I think this is going to be it for him. He's going to be done. Chris Letang was really fading down the stretch. And they got two other veterans, though, who could become trade chips at the deadline, and that's Brian Rust and Rickard Rakell. Keep an eye on those guys because they could get moved out. So, we'll see how things go with them. But yeah, I do not anticipate them being a playoff team this year.
No, nobody does. So it looks like Ron is having some connection problems. So, Chef, if you want to take San Jose, I know you have a special passion for them.
Oh, wow.
I
didn't realize I got that. All right, let's talk talk about the Sharks. Okay. So with the Sharks, if you follow me, they're kind of like my East Coast team. Okay. So, but let's see. They brought in Skinner, Goudet, Korachev, Orlov, Klingberg, Leddy, and Javokic. And they got rid of Kovalenko, the Pickle Man, Thrun, and Georgiev. Now, Georgiev kind of flopped for him. I thought he was going to be something. So I see this from what they brought in. They got they're shaving their older defense. They've gotten rid of that. They got a lot of exciting young players. This is going to be a team that you're going to want to stay up for on the West Coast feeds to get these games, because they're just going to be downright fun. Oh,
absolutely. Absolutely. They were fun last year, Chef.
Yes.
I'm an East Coast guy too, like you, but I mean, hey, we got a chance to watch any of their games or even highlights. I watch them because it's the young players that Mike Greer has brought in. You look at Macklin Celebrini, you look at William Macklin, you look at Will Smith, right? Askarov, the promising young goaltender as well. He's a lot of fun to watch, boy. He's got personality. I like goalies with personality. But just those young guys. And Tyler Toffoli, who they signed last season as a unrestricted free agent. What a terrific addition he's been with them. Yeah. Oh my gosh, plug him in alongside any one of those young players and you just watch them shine. He's like a great mentor. And yeah, this is a team. I expect we're going to see them improve this year. Not going to be a playoff club, I don't think. No. Not yet. Not there yet. But I don't think they're a bottom feeder anymore. I think, Celebrini himself. I mean, listen, I'm going to be honest here. Had Celebrini not gotten injured the first month of the season, I think that he narrowly beats Lane Hudson for the Calder. And I'm saying that as a Habs fan. And I know that, listen, Lane Hudson playing as a first-line D was absolutely outstanding. But if Macklin hadn't missed, those 12 games to start the season, I think it might have been a different story.
Yeah, I could see this. You can look at, let's say, 4 years, 5 years down the road, seeing a huge rivalry, which is what hockey needs with the Ducks and the Sharks. They're going to be, it's going to be great to watch too. Yeah. And then throw in like the Kings, who never seem to fall out. It's going to be great for hockey. So,
Southern California Hawks. California hockey will be fun again. Just like it was, 15 years ago. It's going to be a blast, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You could throw Chicago in there too. I mean, these are teams that are stacked with young talent. It doesn't always turn out, as we've seen in Philadelphia. But
or in Buffalo and in Ottawa too. Both of them have dealt with it. But I guess just call it West Coast luck. They seem to luck out better with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay, so let's go. Let's just stay on the West Coast and talk about Seattle Kraken. In Mason, Marchman, Ryan Lindgren, Frederick Goudreau, Coach Lane Lampert. out. Adam Burakovsky, and Michael Esamont.
I'm not seeing very much there. You want to talk about vanilla, Chef?
I was just going to say, maybe this is French vanilla because it's close to the Canadian border, you know?
Hey now. Easy.
Sorry. I don't mean it in a bad way.
Wrong.
Better than regular vanilla.
Wrong coast.
Emerald Coast
vanilla. A little more closer to the Quebec border, maybe.
True.
No, but honestly though, yeah. Seattle was a team that up until like a couple of years ago, they looked like they were really, maybe they were going to kind of do something, and they just kind of gone by the wayside here. You know, they've got some decent talent there. I like that they acquired Capo Caco last year, and he just lit it up once he got out of New York and away from that pressure. He really did really well there. You know, I'm expecting Shane Wright, their first round pick from 3 years ago. Because he really showed significant signs of improvement last year. Matty Benays is another one that I'm looking for improvement. If those guys can get it going, you know, they can get some offense go, because that's the thing for the Kraken. Defensively, they're okay. Their offense has not been good. You know, I mean, all due respect to Jared McCann, God bless him. I mean, he's exceeded expectations.
Yeah.
But he should not be. He is a second line guy on a good team. He should not be carrying your offense for the last 4 years. So Benays, Kako, and Wright, if those three can get it going, yeah, then maybe the Kraken can start moving up, making some noise here.
Yeah. Somebody's got to pick up the load for sure. All right.
Yep.
And let's see. Let's travel to the Midwest there, and let's talk about St. Louis. They got Suter. What's that? Budachet? How do you pronounce that?
Pew Suter, Nick Bukestad, Logan Mailloux.
Oh, okay. Oh God, you did that on purpose. Ron jumped off because he didn't want to say these names.
I really wanted to talk about the
so much.
Yankees.
I don't know what the live feed says. Here.
I think the chef
I don't even want to look.
I think the chef should deal with the butcher chores.
Yeah. That's the in thing. Okay. So
that's it. Oh boy, you're not going to do much better. And there's some misprints here too. Let me get these out.
Faisal, Letty, and Suter.
Yeah.
Okay. So St. Louis, I mean, they make it, but they just kind of almost barely. There were a lot of teams knocking at their door last year. You had what? Seattle was on the low end of it. They were in it for a while. And then Utah and who else? Vancouver.
Calgary and Vancouver chasing them down too. So
it was a chance. Like so they were tied and they won the tiebreaker. So, you know, did they do enough to like separate that to keep them in there?
Well, I think they've got enough on their roster now, Chef, to do so. This has been a team in transition for the last 2-3 years. And, you know, you look at it, they're putting the focus on younger guys, you know, taking on the core roles like Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou, obviously, but also guys like Dylan Holloway, Philip Broberg. If those names are familiar, those are the two guys they got by offer sheet from Edmonton last year. And what I think is going to go down in history is two of the biggest steals in the offer sheets of all time. But also Jake Neighbors in there as well. And the addition of Logan Mailloux could be very interesting because he was the Canadiens' first round pick 5 years ago. But with all the young defensemen that Montreal have brought in and added, he just couldn't. You know, there were too many guys ahead of him in the depth chart. So Montreal was fine with trading him to St. Louis, especially getting a forward like Bolduc back as well, right? Both teams addressed their needs, so I think they could both be win-win when that shakes out. But I think they got enough there. They didn't really need to make any real – and I think their biggest addition was getting Cam Fowler midway through last season from Anaheim, because what a jolt that he provided for their deep, you know, as a puck-moving defenseman back there. So I think they're going to be in good shape. I see them still as a playoff team. In fact, I see them doing better. I see them kind of moving up. Not a cup contender, but moving up just based on all those young guys I just rattled off. I think they're going to make a significant difference for them going forward here.
All right. Ron, why don't you start back with the Tampa Bay Lightning?
Yeah, Tampa Bay Lightning. 102 points last year, second in the Atlantic. They had a great regular season. I mean, it looked like everything was smooth sailing, and then they ran into the Florida Panthers. Can this team keep the foot on the gas pedal? I mean, they still kind of need to get a little younger to still maintain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, you still have, I mean, when you've got, the leading scorer in the league and Nikita Kucherov on your club, and you got one of the better goalies in the league in Vasilevsky, and you still have the ageless Victor Hedman on your blue line.
Right.
Braden Point and Anthony Chiarelli, who are two of the best two-way forwards in the league. Well, you've got guys like that to build around. You're still going to be a playoff team. Are they a Stanley Cup contender? No, those days are in the past. To your point, yes, I agree with you. They're gonna have to start getting a little younger here. But what could work to their advantage maybe down the road is with the salary cap going up so much. I mean, next season is going to go up to 104 million. That could leave them a lot of money. That if they want a lot of cap space, that they could maybe go after a big name if they're available, maybe like a Jack Eichel or a Kirill Kaprizov if they're available. In next year's free agent market. But for now, they're still going to be a playoff team. You know, the horses are still there to be a playoff team. Not going to be a team that can go deep, as we saw when they ran up against Florida. Just don't have that grit. They lost way too much of it over the last few years. So, that's kind of where they're at.
Okay. All right. Now, the Toronto Maple Leafs. See, just that laugh alone right there, because as a Montreal guy right now, we're talking
as a Montreal, that's me taking my unbiased sports writer hat on and putting my Habs hat on and going, ha ha ha. Now
there you go.
Back on.
Love it.
Okay.
Keep it coming. But look, the huge loss of Mitch Marner.
Yeah.
I mean, plus the fact that now they second time in a row now they made it to the second round and then get bounced.
Yeah.
Is the window closing for these guys?
I think so. They're just not good enough. There's always a weakness somewhere that is their undoing. Right. And to your point about Mitch Marner, yeah, they're going to miss that production. They're going to miss his two-way play. Yeah, did he have, was his play in the postseason questionable at times? Sure. But I also think he was made unfairly the scapegoat by a lot of Leafs fans who were just looking for a whipping boy and just decided the local boy was the guy to start whipping. Yeah. But as a team thing, they just couldn't get it done. And this season, I look at their roster, and they're not better. You lost Marner. You're not better. The goaltending remains questionable. I know that, they're looking guys like Stolarz and Wall, and, you can play what if all you want. Oh,
that's a committee.
Gotten hurt. But what have these guys done? Stolarz has been a career backup. Wall is supposed to be their starter of the future. Well, the future's now. Okay, we'll see what happens. And their D, I mean, it's no better. I mean, okay, you brought in Brandon Carlo, maybe a full season with him, that might help. Right. But, Morgan Riley on the left side, I'm starting to worry because his production went down last year and he looked like he lost maybe half a step, and that's not good.
No.
So, again, this is a team that even though you got rid of Marner, you're still top heavy with Matthews, Nylander, and maybe not so much Tavares now, but, he's still there. But you've also signed Matthew Nyes, to a bit. You're still top heavy in terms of top six talent, but the rest of your lineup, I just don't see the depth there. Again, playoff team, be lucky if they get past the first round.
You made the perfect point right there, Lyle. The depth isn't there. And once you get past that first line and now Mitch Marner's gone, it's looking really bleak for them. Okay. So now I get the distinct honor and privilege of talking about the Utah Hockey Club. I mean the Utah Mammoth.
There we go.
Who finished sixth in the Central, which was not really a surprise. I mean, not a bad first season for an expansion club. I mean, there was a lot of hype and everything swirling around this team, but they added, Brandon Tanev and JJ Petrarca and Nate Schmidt to kind of help things along here. You know, they had some good draft picks with Caleb Deone and everything else like that. So, I mean, what do you think about the Mammoth this year?
Well, first of all, let me say I was a fan of them keeping Hockey Club and calling them Utah HC. I really wanted. I like the English Premier League vibe to that, so I would have appreciated if they kept that.
All right,
logo too. I was leaning towards Yeti.
Yeah, but then they would have had to get into rights.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Yeti would have been a good one.
I get it.
But Utah is a team that I'm expecting to significantly improve this year, because this is another team. You talk about teams out of the West, guys, that have been building and that they seem to be kind of building up. Excuse me. Well, Utah has been building up for a while and going back to their Arizona days. And I mean, you look at the players they got in. I mean, Clayton Keller. Let's be honest. If Clayton Keller played for an Eastern Conference team, everybody would be singing his praises as a great all-star. They really would. Yeah. He's been toiling in obscurity for years, but he's absolutely fantastic to watch. Logan Cooley took huge steps forward last year.
Agreed.
Dylan Gunther. I mean, this guy is going to be a terrific sniper. You bring in JJ Peterka from Buffalo, and he's going to add to their offense. And Sergachev, Dursey on the back end there as well. The goaltending, they bring in Vanacek. They've also got Connor Ingram, who has received clearance now after dealing with mental health issues. He's left the NHL NHLPA assistance program, so he could be battling to get his spot back, as he was playing very well for them the season before last. But Utah's a team I'm expecting to see move up. I really am. I would not be surprised if they're battling for one of those wild card berths in the West.
Last year, I speculated that would have been a good spot for Scott Lawton to land, because to me, they just screamed like they need a veteran leader. And maybe I'm not saying replace your captain, but other silent locker room leaders, veterans that can help push them over that line. I think what, Tanev and Schmidt, I think that they got that this year. They really did. So they knew what they needed and they addressed it.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. I mean, their management's very, very shrewd. They know exactly what they're doing. And that's why, as I said, I'll be very surprised if they're not in contention for a wild card berth, or maybe a little higher by the end of the season.
Yeah. Logan Cooley was a kid I wanted when we drafted Gauthier. We just couldn't get our hands on it. Boom. Perfect fit for the Flyers, but summer wishes, winter dreams. Okay. So Vancouver Canucks. Well, the word that comes to mind is bereft. They have lost a coach.
Yep.
They have lost one of their some of their players, and may lose more in the future. They bring in Evander Kane, and Adam Foote replaces Rick Tocchet, and they lose Pius Suter. What's going on in Vancouver?
Well, Vancouver, they win the award for best soap opera. Because boy, oh boy, every freaking year, in the last 5 or 6 years, it's just, if it's not ownership drama, it's coaching drama. If it's not coaching drama, then you have players squabbling with each other. I mean, and yet, the season before last, they showed what they were capable of when they got it all together, right? This season, the player, everybody, well, there's 2 players, everybody. Actually, there's 3 players, excuse me. 3 players. There's 2 at 1. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. Surprise and fear. 2 weapons, 3 weapons. Fear and surprise, ruthless efficiency, and almost fanatical devotion to the Pope.
Nice.
Sorry, Chef, you're going to have to say it.
I love it. I love a good Monty reference.
My pipe.
There you go.
But the first guy they're going to be watching is Elias Pettersson, and I don't mean the defenseman, I mean their center, because he had an absolutely dreadful year last year. And this is a guy who had 102 points 2 years before, and 88 points the season before that. And his play just went into the toilet last season. And of course, he'd had that feud with JT Miller that wound up leading to Miller getting traded away. The Canucks are making a gamble that he's going to be their boy. And right now, Canucks fans are not happy with the player that they once affectionately named Petey. Okay, now it's Petey. But if he can bounce back and silence his critics, the Canucks will be in good shape. Quinn Hughes, their captain and top defenseman and former Norris Trophy winner, he's another guy to watch, because he's in his it's not this season, it's the following season is going to be his last one. He'll be UFA eligible in 2027. And the word on the street out there is if the Canucks miss the playoffs again this year, they're not going in the right direction, that they might end up trading him rather than risk losing him for nothing.
Oh, yeah.
And trading him to the New Jersey
Flyers?
Devils.
Oh,
New
darn.
Jersey Devils in a reunion with his brothers. But I think that kind of seems more like wishful thinking than anything else.
Yes.
Because there's going to be a lot of money in players going back and forth. That'd be a monster trade. But but regardless though, but in all honesty though, Chef, it may not be New Jersey, but the word is that they could end up trading him next summer if they do not right the ship this year, because he's going to want assurances that this team is not just going to be marginal when he signs a long-term contract extension, right? So that's a guy that's going to be worth watching. And the third guy is Thatcher Demko, their starting goalie, because he was injured last season again. Now they brought in Kevin Lankinen, and Lankinen really saved their bacon. He's the reason why they stayed in contention as long as they did, despite all the soap opera stuff going on. But, they got Adam Foote as their head coach, who was an assistant coach for them. So he knows them. They know him. So I don't think there's going to be too much of a rough transition there. But it's those three key guys. Everything's going to hinge on them. If Demko stays healthy, if Pettersson can return to form, and if Quinn Hughes is happy, then this team could be in good shape for this season and perhaps for the future.
Yeah, they are the Bravo network of the friggin' NHL anymore. Real Housewives of Vancouver. That's what it played out last year.
Kinda.
Yeah, it's a lot of ifs. It's like a bread song,
Yeah.
So anyway, more dad humor for
more
viewers.
dad, more aging boomer humor for you, folks.
Yes. Speaking of back in the day, the Flyers and the Rangers used to compete for all the players in free agency. And a lot of times that was like the main team the Flyers were up against, bidding for players. These days, the big spenders and the big trade and acquisition makers outside, I guess, Florida are the Vegas Golden Knights, and they continued their streak. They brought in Mitch Marner in a lopsided trade, Jeremy Lauzon, Colton Sissons. They lose Nicholas Roy, Alex Pietrangelo. That's a big hit on defense because of injury. Ilya Samsonov and Nick Hague. And a lot of questions whether they can take the hit with Pietrangelo and still be a cup contender, and B, how often can you make a major acquisition like this and deal with a lot of guys that usually take up a lot of air in the room?
Well, if you're Vegas, you're used to being you've been high rolling since your inaugural season, baby. When you got Marc-Andre Fleury, it's been high rolling ever since, and it's been working for them, even though they significantly deplete their prospect pool in the process and trade away first round picks. But it doesn't matter; they've been able to make it work. But this season's going to be interesting. I think offensively, the reason why they brought Marner in is because, believe it or not, offense was an issue for them. Yeah. Even though you had Mark Stone and Jack Eichel and you have let me just pull up their depth chart here very briefly, because my memory is not what it once used to be. But yeah, with Barbashev and Hurdle and guys like that, offense was an issue for them. So that's why they brought in Marner. And he and Eichel could just be an absolute dynamite 1-2 punch. But to your point, though, losing Pietrangelo is going to hurt. That's going to hurt on their D. It's going to be interesting to see how they cope with that. And listen, a couple of core guys that they got, losing Hague and Roy, that's going to hurt them depth-wise, because these were guys who, they're kind of like good little, they're unheralded, but they're very important pieces to a team's success. And, it's going to be interesting to see how that affects chemistry in the room. But again, this is a team that makes so many changes year after year, and yet they just seem to be able to make it happen and keep it going. So, again, I like the addition of Marner in terms of bolstering their offense, and he'll also help their penalty kill as well, because, again, very much he's one of the better two-way forwards in the league. So yeah, in terms of that, yeah, they're a playoff team again, of course, and yeah, they may be able to win a couple of rounds. Again, I'm not seeing them as a Stanley Cup champion, but again, I didn't see them as a Cup champion, 3 years ago, and there we are. So yeah, but say what you will, but boy, they make it entertaining. They're fun to watch. They are not afraid to take risks, so that kind of makes them fun.
Yeah, and I imagine if they do have any prospects of doing anything, they'll be trading for some defense at the trade deadline.
Absolutely.
I would imagine.
Absolutely. Yeah. If that becomes an issue with Pietrangelo, they'll be in the market trying to get the best one they can get. And resigning them to like a 7-year extension with, for crazy, stupid money. So.
Right. And we'll figure it out next month, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Well, we'll get it. Who's going on LTIR next year, boys? Who wants a year off? There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the Washington Capitals are a study in retooling on the fly, really working their farm system, developing a lot of kids. So a lot of internal growth led to a comeback season, really 2 years ago, which flourished, though, last year with a 111-point season. They moved on from Andrew Mangiapane, Taylor Radish, Lars Eller, and TJ Oshie had to retire. They bring in Justin Sordif, Declan Chisholm. And of course, they have a lot of kids that are growing, including, and its name is the kid, the same draft as Michkov. What's his name?
Leonard?
Crystal.
No,
Leonard.
I can't name.
Cole Hudson.
No.
Ryan Leonard, Andrew Crystal.
Ryan Leonard. Yeah, Ryan Leonard's the guy.
Yeah.
So he's the kind of guy who, the kind of guy they're going to be building with going forward. But I still think there's kind of like a ceiling with a fading OV and some of the guys on defense.
Yeah, they're in transition, but full marks to their head coach Spencer Carberry for the job he's done to be able to mold a team that's got like some aging guys in there, like you mentioned, Ovechkin, like John Carlson as well. But at the same time, bringing in their younger players and developing them, and guys like Poitras, guys like Connor McMichael. I look for Hendrix Lapierre to have a better year this year. You definitely know Ryan Leonard's going to be getting a lot of playing time too. So you bring these guys, but then they also being able to bring in guys, who are established, like Pierre-Luc Dubois last year from LA, and look how he turned things around, and Jacob Chychrun, getting him as well for their blue line. I mean, this is a team. I don't think last season was a fluke for them. No. Now, will they still be finishing as the top team in the Eastern Conference? Well, maybe not. But they're not going to be tumbling down to. I'll be shocked if they tumble down towards the wild card berth or anything like that. I think they're going to be up in there, in the top 4, top 5 in the conference. They're that good.
And who else? Who had Oshie retiring before Ovechkin on their bingo card? I don't think anybody. You look at that like 10 years ago, go nah, he's going to be retired, and it's going to be Oshie's team. Nope,
it's
wrong.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting too to see what kind of a year Ovechkin had, because it's going to have, because last year, that was just incredible. Chasing Gretzky, another 40-goal season for a guy who's 39 years old,
broken leg.
Yeah, with a busted leg to boot. Yes, Chef, exactly. You got to figure if he hadn't busted his leg, he would have had a 50-goal season the way he was going. But the thing is what's his motivation going to be now? Now, he claims his motivation this year is he wants a second Stanley Cup. Yeah. He wants to go out and he wants to push for the Stanley Cup this year. And I don't blame him for feeling that way based on how they improved last year. Yeah. But, is that going to be enough motivation though, really? And you can say, well, of course it's the Stanley Cup, but going after that record last year on a more personal level is much more of a motivating factor than going after something you won once before, even though how hard it is to do that, because that's more of a team thing, right? But I'm certainly not going to write the guy off. I can see him getting 30 goals this season. Could he get 40 again? Maybe. But I would not rule out 30 goals for him. But they are very much, though, you're watching it transition in real time without really skipping too much of a beat, And I love the players they brought in through trades. And I like these kids that they brought up through their ranks. They're doing it right, I think, in Washington. And we got to give their goalies props too. I mean, two guys that were plucked off
Logan
the scrap
Thompson.
heap, Logan
Yeah.
Thompson and Charlie Lindgren, and look what they've done for them. So, yeah, terrific job in Washington.
Yeah, absolutely. Chef, you're going to finish us off before we have a Flyers discussion with the Winnipeg Jets.
All right. The Winnipeg Jets, they brought in Jonathan Toews, Nyquist, and Pearson. Ellers, who I would have loved to have him on my team, that is out along with Appleton and Tanev. I mean, they always seem to just fall a little bit short. It just seems to be like, and I root for them because I want to see Winnipeg do well. I think that when they do well, it means your let's say your higher Canadian teams can't just sit on their butts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Montreal, Toronto, it makes them do better too because rising tide raises all the boats, right? So my thing is, I don't know how much better they got though. I mean, Ellers is going to be hard to replace.
Yeah. But the thing too, I mean, first of all, Kevin Cheveldayoff has done a terrific job, their general manager, building this team up and maintaining it. They lost Ehlers to free agency, but that wasn't because he didn't like playing in Winnipeg or anything like that. It's just that he couldn't really kind of break out of that second line role that he'd been filling all these years. And he just wanted to get a change and try something else. So off to Carolina he goes. But he also did what was thought to be the impossible 2 years ago. And he convinced Connor Hellebuck and Mark Scheifele to accept identical 7-year contracts to stay in Winnipeg. So, that was impressive as hell to me.
Hey, Lyle.
But this, yeah.
We just cut. There's been a lot of storms in.
Uh-oh. All right. We kind of lost Isaiah there for a second. Okay.
Get to get some storm action going on there.
Yeah.
He's in Tampa Bay.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I mean, I can keep
going. Keep going.
Yeah. But Winnipeg. I mean, to me, they've got the talent. My God, but it just seems like when they get to the playoffs, they just mentally, it seems they just can't seem to get out of their own way. I mean, they've got the talent to be a potential cup contender, but for whatever reason, they seem to be their own worst enemies when they get to the postseason. So, I mean, I still think they're going to do well. I think they're going to be a top 4 team again in the Western Conference. But their playoff woes are a mystery to me. Why a team that can be so dominant in the regular season can just seem to just get derailed. They derail themselves. I mean, last year, listen, that series they had against St. Louis in the opening round, that was some of the best hockey I've seen in a long time. And that final game was just unbelievable. Yeah. But then they get over that hump, and then they run into Dallas, and boom, it all falls apart. So it's going to be interesting to see how things go for them this year.
So I assume everybody was doing fine, and I was the guy that was zotzing out for the reception.
Yeah, we were good, man.
Yep, all good now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, the Tampa has been one storm after another down here, that's for sure. So that brings us to the Philadelphia Flyers to wrap up. I'm going to take this one because I'm selfish. The Flyers added Christian Dvorak, Trevor Zegras, Dennis Gilbert, Noah Juleson, and hopefully a good solid backup, Dan Vladar. And they let go of Ole Lixell, Jacob Pelletier, and Ryan Paling in that Zegras trade. Where are the Flyers at in your estimation, Lyle? And everybody's going to get a chance, of course, to talk about Philadelphia Flyers.
Yeah. Well, they're still rebuilding, obviously. They're not going to be, I don't see them as among the worst teams in the league this year. It's going to depend on their goaltending. The goaltending was just absolutely a nightmare. Darth Vlader there should be able to help out. He's an experienced guy. He's had plenty of backup roles, and he's been champing at the bit to be a starter. He may get that chance. Erson's, he's done well, all things considered. He hasn't had very much in front of him to work with. The season before, I mean, we all agreed. I mean, the Flyers played over their heads. They worked their butts off, but it just in the end, they just didn't have the talent to finish it off. And then everything just seemed to kind of fall apart last season. And I don't need to go over all that with you guys because you watched it in real time, and I'm sure it was painful. I think that there's some opportunity here to be better, and it starts with Michkov, obviously. I know Flyer fans were probably bummed that he didn't at least get consideration for the Calder, that he finished fourth in the voting. But I mean, with Dustin Wolf playing, almost backstopping the Flames into the playoffs, he was going to get the nod, unfortunately over Michkov. And not saying he didn't deserve it, but Michkov, I think you're going to see improvement from him. He knows he needs to work on his defensive play. Offense, scoring is not going to be an issue for him. He's obviously looking forward to improving. And, having him with Konechny, I think that that's going to be a lot of fun to watch those guys play. Tyson Foerster, thankfully he's not going to be sidelined. He's not anything untoward with the injury that he had during, I believe it was the World Championships is when he suffered that. So at least he's going to be back healthy for you as well. Zegras, that's going to be interesting to see how things go there. He'll get another opportunity, I think, to try his hand, to return to his natural role as center. How well he does there, I mean, that remains to be seen. But listen, it's a move worth trying. Because it wasn't all that long ago. This kid was on the cover of the NHL, NHL version, whatever, not all that long ago. Mm-hmm. And he was being touted once upon a time as the franchise player for the Anaheim Ducks. But you also got, you still have Sanheim on D. Drysdale, if he can be healthy, he can help you guys out as well. So there's pieces to work with here, but this is still very much a team that's rebuilding. I don't see them as a playoff contender this year, but I don't think that they're going to be horrible either. I think that they're going to be competitive going forward.
All right. I think Isaiah froze again. So I'm going to say, Ron, what do you think?
In your opinion.
Okay. Here's the thing with the Flyers. They've done pretty good drafting the last couple of years with Danny Briere on board now as the general manager, and then also bringing in Keith Jones as director of hockey operations. I like the fact that this team has a plan and they're sticking to that plan. They've weeded out a lot of the guys that are not going to help the team, and they've done all those things to get younger and trying to get out of some of those big ugly contracts that Danny Briere was inherited. But Lyle, Chef, everybody, we all know the writing on the wall here, and that's this. The goaltending needs to stand up, and the defense needs to stand up. They need to get a gelled set of lines that can roll. It just seems like they're just throwing things at a dartboard and seeing what sticks. Bringing in some guys like Zegras, and maybe you'll see some of the guys like Luchenko potentially making the team, to be able to help with Michkov and Konechny. And, this team has a pretty significant talent pool. It's just, can Tocchet put it together? Can Tocchet be the one that whips these boys into shape? Because I think in the first 14 or so games, you're going to see a pretty wide open style, and Tocchet's just going to let him fly and let him play and see what he has. Because I think that's what he needs to do. And then he's going to rein it in and see what we got. I think you're going to see a much different team than what we saw the last couple of years under Tortorella, especially under Rick Tocchet. I also agree. I don't think they're a playoff team yet. They're maybe 2 years away.
All right. I'll throw my 2 cents into it for what it's worth. The last 2 seasons, I sadly predicted exactly what was going to happen. And it scared the hell out of me, because when I look at this team this year, I think if everybody hits their little marks, they get in on the last day to playoffs. They tie it and they get in, and they ruin any progress that they made, because that will be the total Flyer thing that they could do. So I'm going to say that. I'm going to say
You're
they
so right,
barely-
Chef. You're so right.
Oh
They
my.
barely make the playoffs. I mean, look at it. Your top line could be Zegras with Foerster and Mitchkoff, and your second line could be like Coots, TK, and Tippett. Your third line is, it could be Lachenko with Noah Cates on a wing and stuff like that. Who knows? If everybody hits their marks, this team, I did the math. If you count X amount of points for goaltending, X amount of points for this line scoring, the defense playing a little bit better, you're talking like they only have to jump 12 points and 12, 15 points and to come right in at the end, because let's face it, some of these other teams didn't get much better, or they just took a step back in the Met. The only one that's really standing out to me is Washington. So you have all these other teams that could underperform like they did last year. There's teams that have slipped. I don't think now everybody's going to say, every year I go out and I put money at the beginning of the season on my team to win the cup or make the playoffs. This year is probably going to make the playoffs. And then I'll find somebody to bet on the cup before the season starts. This year, I'm probably going to do the same thing. It's probably going to be either Dallas or again, and maybe the Flyers to make the playoffs. It's not that crazy, because if you just look at what's possibly there and what they have to do at bare minimum to get better, nobody else got that much better in the Met, and in the East at all too. So that to be said. So I know I'm crazy, but I'll pass this along to Isaiah now. But
yeah, I don't want to keep Lyle past too much further because he's got another commitment tonight. We do appreciate him stopping by. I just had one question about Rick Tocchet, and in Canada, what was his reputation with Vancouver, and what kind of job he did, and what do you think? What assets do you think he's going to bring to the Flyers that will be tangible in the eyes of the fans?
Well, Tocchet's reputation, here was impeccable. I mean, especially after, the job he did in Vancouver and then winning the Jack Adams, for what he did with them. And I mean, nobody really kind of faulted him for how things kind of fell apart last year, because they started off with Demko getting hurt and then the whole Miller Pedersen thing and all of that. But I think, Tocchet comes in and he has that, he has the credentials, and he's known for working well with with young players and with a rebuilding team. But here he's coming home, and that's the thing Flyers fans need to remember. He's coming home. Okay, he made his bones with the Flyers. Okay, when he was a player. So yeah, this is very familiar territory to him. He knows what he's getting into here. He's not coming in and going to be shocked by the reaction he's going to get. But yeah, I mean, basically to your point though, I think, he's going to want to see what he's got here. I mean, obviously, you can say, well, that's what training camp and preseason is for. Well, yeah, kind of, sort of, but nah, the rubber doesn't really hit the road until the puck drops on the regular season. Preseason is just kind of a circus more than anything else. That's where you see how well your prospects are going to do, But I think you're going to see improvement there. And let's not forget too, as much as the Flyers really, played over their heads in 2023-24 under Torts, you saw the wheels come off last year because Tortorella has a short shelf life everywhere he goes. Eventually it runs out, and it ran out last year. And it was no surprise that when they fired Tortorella, all of a sudden the team played better. All of a sudden everybody kind of felt like, oh, now we can go out and we can play our game. We're not being a round peg trying to be fit into a square hole here, like they could actually go out and play their game. And I think that's what you're going to see with Tocchet here. I mean, he's going to work with his players and play to their strengths, obviously. But I mean, he's also going to want them to be responsible as well in their own zone too. I mean, like for Michkov, yes, he's going to want the kid to go and score, but he's still going to want him to, improve his game without the puck and be more, try to be defensively responsible. But I think he's going to have a positive effect. And I think for Flyers fans, I think, Chef's optimism aside, but I think most Flyers fans know that, this could be a rebuilding year where you miss the playoffs. I mean, the expectations, so they'll be reasonable. And I don't think, Chef, that you're being unreasonable with what you're saying there either, because, hey, nobody saw Vancouver falling like they did last year.
Nope.
So, yeah, stuff can happen. Or Montreal making the playoffs last year. Again,
well, Montreal hit. It's the same thing. They hit on everything.
You want to talk about that as an example? Well, there's a good one, because as you said, yeah, Montreal hit on everything last year.
I just put it in the notes. 4 points for game, 4 points for a coach, 4 points. Hell, 4 points for a power play that was horrible last year.
Yeah.
You get 4 points if your D comes together, and goalie 6 points if they could steal you 3 games.
Yeah.
That's not a lot.
If the goaltending improves, that's going to be the key.
Yep.
Better goaltending, they got a good chance.
Yeah. I think Isaiah froze again.
No, he's back. Here he is.
There he is.
I'm here. Yeah. So we're going to try and carry on with a little bit more of the Flyers news. But Lyle, we're going to let you go. We appreciate you taking the time. Just if you could tell the folks where people can find your work.
Well, first of all, again, guys, always a pleasure doing this. Listen, you can have me on again during the season too. We don't have to do this once a year if you want. Whatever you want.
Yeah.
If things get really interesting, if it's Montreal and Philadelphia in the playoffs, that's when we'll get together. We'll talk.
Oh,
yeah,
we definitely have
to. But you can find my work on my website, spectorshockey.net. You can also find me at Bleacher Report. You can find me at the Hockey News. If you read German, I write for the German magazine Ice Hockey News. And if you're here in Canada, of course, and if you live here on the East Coast, and specifically if you live here in Prince Edward Island, I also write for my local paper, the Guardian PEI. So that's where you can find
All right. Love the muscles there. Thank you.
Lyle, you're the best, man. Thanks for taking
That's
the
a
time.
chef reference there. PEI muscles are the best. So there you go.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely.
Thank you
All right,
so much,
guys.
Lyle.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks,
care.
Lyle.
Best of luck, everybody.
Take care, man.
All right, dude, take care. Okay, so obviously we're having some connection problems tonight. I don't know what the video is going to look like or anything, but why don't we try and knock out a couple topics here and then call it a night?
Sure.
Ron, we got a couple things we had on the laundry list, and I just wanted to give you the opportunity because you did what is really a different kind of show for us. It's not typical. We usually have a little bit more interplay on our shows, but tonight, it's a tight format trying to cover 32 teams, as you can imagine.
You got it. No problem. Look, there's a lot of stuff that the Flyers still need to do this year as to why I think they're still going to be on the outside looking in. They need to improve their power play massively. And look, all you need to do is get to like 20th, right? You don't need to be top 5, top 10 power play. 20th. Let's try to get to that. Can you get the goaltending to stop scraping the bottom of the barrel when it comes to wins, save percentage, right? Goals against average. Can you put some defense in front of the goaltender so they're not hanging out to dry every night, right? So if you address those issues, they need to take incremental steps to get better, right? The great news about Foerster coming back and not missing any time, that's really great news. That's going to help them out of the gate, okay? And being able to have him there available right away, okay? I think you're going to see Luchenko push for a spot. I think you're going to see some of the other guys pushing for spots. We're going to see, because now some of those older folks aren't there anymore now. And there's a little bit more room now for wiggle for some of these younger guys to come in. You know what I mean? The Emil Andres, the Hags, or you know what I'm saying? And some of these other guys to come in that can help out this team. So I'm optimistic, but they need to improve in too many areas in order for me to feel that they're a playoff team.
Yeah, I mean, if they're 10 points better, they're still an 86-point team, and 86-point teams don't make the playoffs. So,
right,
I think that's, I think we're going to see a lot less East-West plays against them, and it's going to help their goaltending. I think the goaltending maybe can stabilize if they just get at least 900 goaltending. They'll be a lot more fun to watch. But I think that's I think that's where it's at. And frankly, I disagree with Lyle in one sense. I do want to see what they look like. I want to see how they play together. I want to see if there's some dynamism between Zegras and Michkov. I'm interested who they're going to put on the other wing before I start, talking about what I think they're going to do. Besides, you got to save it for future shows. But yeah, that's right. So
got to leave a little meat on the bone, right?
Yeah, exactly. So Foerster supposedly, is going to be okay until I hear that confirmed, though, because I think he had a bicep injury. I'm not sure.
And he had surgery. Okay. He had surgery
and it got
to correct
infected.
it.
No, it was an infection.
And it got infected. Yeah.
No, it was an infection from the injury, which usually means a joint issue. So, and it was surgery to correct the infection. That's what the wording was.
Okay, so he didn't tear a bicep.
No, as far as that, they haven't said that, but it was an injury. And usually, if you get an infection without like a physical injury, usually it's a joint thing. So,
right, sure, right.
So that's what I'm inferring from everything, because I didn't hear like there was a physical cut or a tear in his muscle or anything. I didn't hear any of that.
Yeah, because you don't want a bicep tear. Never really, it's never quite the same. No. So it's better that it's infection, even though it can be more dangerous ultimately. But if they have it under control, then that's what you want. So they're going to be playing at the Xfinity Mobile Arena probably until the new building is ready. So that's your new name. The Wells Fargo is gone. Right. And we got good news, Ron. The Flyers won their arbitration, which of course we all know by now, with Ryan Johansen, the Malinger. I mean, the ex Colorado Avalanche player.
Yeesh.
That was probably the easiest arbitration case that's ever been. But it took
so long.
What's that?
But it took so long.
I know.
It was ridiculous.
Who knows why it took so long, but it was probably one of the easiest open and shut cases. I mean, how do you not reveal the injury? You know what I mean? Like that just doesn't make any sense to me. But hey, at least the Flyers won that, and they're not on the hook for his money. You know, and the
$4 million.
You're right. Which, look, the Flyers are slowly climbing out of that, cap purgatory that Danny Briere inherited.
Ron. It was hell. It wasn't purgatory, buddy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, but you get what I'm saying, though, right? Okay.
Yeah, you can't put lipstick on that pig.
Yeah, right. But they're slowly starting to climb out of that. You know what I mean? And they're slowly starting to get rid of those contracts. And then it's also helping that the cap is going up. Mm-hmm. So I like you say, Isaiah, there's a lot of meat on this bone for the Flyers, but there's still a lot of things that they need to improve on in order for them to get to, like what Chef said, that last minute tie at the end to douse the hopes of some other, hopeful team. There's still too much improvement that needs to happen as far as I'm concerned for that to happen. And especially with the new coach coming in and a bunch of moving parts, and the whole bench is new, you know what I mean? So that's kind of where I'm at with the Flyers this year. Hopeful, but not going to be disappointed if they don't make it.
Yeah, and the other thing is for me this year, I want to see some of the kids they have here, but we've been telling people in previous shows, get your ESPN Plus subscription, get your Flow Hockey subscription, because you want to follow some of the new kids in Lehigh Valley. We're going to talk about that in just a second. Do you want to follow the NCAA? And if you're so inclined to follow a junior hockey, which I'm kind of worried what's going to happen in juniors. But anyway, with so many kids, so much talent leaving, it's going to be a thing, I think. But that's what I'm really looking at. I want to see if Bump is going to be good enough, how they're going to handle Lachenko. I hope they're smart about that. So there's a lot of things that have to happen. I just don't think it's all going to, come together for more than like 88 points or something like that. But I'm going to hold off on that. What I really want to discuss before we call it a night is this John Snowden hire. Now, something I was looking in his background, he won an actual championship at the ECHL level with the Newfoundland Growlers. They won the Kelly Cup in 2019. So he's going to have Nick Schultz and Terrence Wallin as his assistants. And to me, Shep, I look at this and like, okay, now it's getting real. Now some of the kids that they really think can be future Flyers are going to be on the Phantoms, and they are going to carry the load in the future. And I think the Flyers are going to try and model what they do in Hershey. And they want to have that kind of system where they have a lot of kids shuffling through there and nobody comes up until they're ready and they can hit the ground running. And it begins this year with all the picks that they have from the last couple of years, and especially the big haul this year. They're going to start the conveyor belt of players going through the system, and that'll make them better and more likely, like I said, to be productive from day one. What say you?
So, I think I'm going to add something to his resume. Wasn't he like the general manager of Maine?
Yes, he was.
Okay, so he worked under Briere directly at Maine too, when Briere was training there. So now you have that's a good connection there. So you know that he knows what's expected, because he probably sat there, Briere, like all of us do when we're all complaining about our bosses. Oh, I would have done this, or we could do this better, that kind of thing. So they're kind of on the same page. So I expect great things to happen at Lehigh. And we always said over the years, whether or not these guys that come up, because let's face it, they drafted a lot of guys this past year, and not all of them are going to hit as NHL guys. But guess what? You have to put out a farm team too. You have to stock that. All right. So these younger kids that, hey, they might get like 20 to 50 games in the NHL during their career, but they're career AHLers, but it doesn't matter. You need that still in your system, because those are the guys that end up saying, yes, the team, the organization treated me great. They're a great thing here. Let me show you what to expect. These are the people. You start at the ground things. You want people to come here. It starts with what you're training now to get in 2 years, because these kids are going to come up and they're going to talk about how great they were treated by the Flyers. It allowed you to get better draft picks, better free agents, better coaching personnel, and all that. So, and that's all I got to say about that.
No, well, I mean, it's a cultural template, and it begins at the minor level and is elevated at the NHL level. This is what the Flyers used to have years ago when they had kids in Maine or Richmond, wherever they used to have them. And, it came together in the mid-'80s. As a lot of these kids went through the system, and this is one of the reasons they came out of nowhere back then. Ron?
Let me ask you guys a question. What's the model of building a successful NHL team these days?
What's the model? You build, if you're asking me, I'm building goalie, defense, number one center, and then power forwards and scorers. Right. If that's what you're talking about, that's how I'm building a team, but I'm building it at the farm level and bringing it up.
Oh, okay. Right. Perfect. But the only way you can do that is to draft it. Okay. So the Flyers are starting to do that now. They're drafting this talent. They're restocking the shelves. They're bringing in these guys to play down in Lehigh Valley. I love the fact that Snowden was hired as coach of Lehigh Valley. I'm utterly overjoyed at the fact that they're going to be playing the same system that they're playing at the farm or at the big club. Deal. Okay. Right. To me, as far as I'm concerned, that is a huge plus for the Flyers right off the bat, because when the guys came up last year, it took them a couple games to get acclimated, to get their feet under them, to get the skates on them, because it was a completely different system than what LePerriere was running down there with the Phantoms, as what they were running up there with Torts. So it made them feel out of place. Now,
you know what, Ron? I asked somebody that on our show about a year ago, maybe at the beginning of the season last year, and they said it shouldn't matter. They're professionals. They've all played at different levels. They know what the systems are. And I'm like, but systems change, even in season systems change. So that answer befuddled me when they said it doesn't matter what the coaching style is at the minor league level versus the NHL level.
I think that comes into play in terms of defensive zone play with man versus zone coverage and neutral zone play. And those are the areas you really get exposed.
And the transition game.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So exactly. Having John Snowden there with the Phantoms, a guy that knows this team, right? They brought back Wisdom. They brought back a couple of the other guys that they brought back as well. I really like Wisdom. I really thought that he came on last year. I think he might be another one to look out for this year. I'm going to be interested to see how the Bonk's going to play, how the Bump's going to play, how the Emil Andres are going to play, how you're going to see Jet Lachenko down there. You know what I'm saying? To maybe just start off the season if he doesn't make the team off the bat. You know what I mean? When at the end of the year, next year, you might see Porter Martone down there on the Phantoms for a little minute too. You know what I'm saying? So I'm really liking what the Flyers are doing now with the Phantoms, trying to incorporate them in with the big club and making this one big giant conglomerate moving forward to try to get the cup. Okay. It doesn't really matter if they bring Calder Cups in. What really matters is Stanley Cups.
Yeah, but I tell you what, the Calder Cup does pave the way for a lot of good things. We saw that in 2005. We saw that in 98.
Yeah.
So both of them led to little runs by the Flyers, and so I wouldn't discount it too much because when you have order,
no, I'm not.
In your system, yeah. But yeah, so it sounds like it's a good situation. I'm looking forward, much more forward to watching some of these kids in Lehigh Valley, which why I got the Full Hockey subscription again. And that's going to be it, you know? So, all right. So before another storm knocks us off the air, we're going to be back next in 2 weeks, Monday, the 8th, with a training camp preview show featuring Bill Meltzer. And we're looking forward to that. And so, Ron, if you have any final comments, and also where can people find you and the Steel Flyers website and podcast?
Well, I got to tell you something, guys. The last comments that I have is this. We're doing a rebranding. So I'm making the announcement right here and right now. We are no longer going to be called Steel Flyers. We're going to be called R&J Media Sports. So be looking for an update of the website, be looking for an update of the channel on YouTube, and be looking for all kinds of other great updates as well. We're going to be partnering up with some other folks to have some awesome, great shows. So be looking forward to a change from Steel Flyers to R&J Media with new logos and everything else like that. So be sure to check that out here coming up real soon. Thank you, Chef. Thank you, Isaiah. Thank you, O&B Puck, for having me on here. It has been amazing. I can't thank you enough. What an honor and privilege. First of all, you guys need to go to O&B Puck, get subbed up, go to Hockey Hot Stove and get them guys going on there, man, because that's one of the best hot sites going on right now with all the great popular guys in there and writers and everything else like that. A lot of great stuff over there at Hockey Hot Stove. Check them out, man, for sure.
Yeah, I certainly do appreciate that. Chef, any last words before I give it a wrap?
Well, no, I mean, I'll just end with this. Look, this is the season where you can look at that lineup or possible lineup, and you could sit there and be happy and excited because until the puck drops, what, on the 7th, correct? Season starts the 6th or the 7th for the Flyers. I think it's the 7th. So until the puck drops, then this team is good. It's fun. Yeah. It's exciting. Until that happens, you sit there and you go, hey, Luchenko's going to make the team. Bonk's going to make the team. Bump's going to make the team. You got Zegras. He's going to have like an 80-point season. All this stuff. Mitchkov's going to blow some. Coots is going to come back to form. All this stuff. So just enjoy it for a little bit at least, because when it does come down to reality, because they're going to get a little bit of bump out of a new coach and these new players and all just the excitement. I mean, look, the California boys are going to have a blast. They're all happy. They're all playing together. York, Drysdale, Zegras. They're going to, you know what? Locker room matters. And this is a very happy locker room now. So that's a bump too. I didn't count that into my point. So just enjoy it. That's all. And if you want to argue with me about that this is a borderline playoff team or not, that's fine. Catch me on X at Chef the Left B on X.
Hey, Chef, 4 points for that.
Yeah.
You get 4 points for that, for the locker room. 4
There you
points for the
go.
locker room.
Puts it at 92.
Chef was assigning points for all the different things that are going to change. But don't forget, the New Jersey Devils fell on their ass last year, and they're going to come back. They got a lot of talent. They got not going to be so injured. So anyway, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So look, you can follow. You gave your social media.
Yes.
Was that out here?
Oh, okay. X at Steel Flyers.
Okay.
52.
Sorry. Yeah, we got a lot of storms down there. Okay. Okay.
You can
got
follow.
it. You got it. Okay. You can follow. Go ahead.
You can follow us at O&B Puck on X. I think we're on also Bluesky. We don't do a lot there, but also you can also catch us on YouTube, GETTR. Hey, like and subscribe. It helps us put us to the top here. We appreciate everybody that's been following us. You've been doing a lot for us, and we just want to continue to get better, and we appreciate your following us. All right?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, you're doing my job here. No,
yeah,
just
you're zooming out.
yeah, I know. I'm zooming out. So you just on YouTube, if you could hit that like and subscribe button and the notification bell, so that you'll know when we have our live streams, and also when you subscribe on any of the platforms like Apple, Spotify, iHeart, all that, it helps move us up the chart when people are looking for Philadelphia Flyer podcasts, and we really do appreciate it. So that's all we have for you tonight. So until next time, everybody, take care, and we got the little outro music for you.